We're here today for permanency review after final order. And just to make sure all the parties are aware, I did meet weeks back and had a conversation with her. So I'm aware of some things already. This time is 15. She is currently in a relative placement or kinship placement. And that placement is safe and appropriate, meeting her needs.
Yes.
Is it in her best interest to continue in that placement at this time?
Yes.
And permanency goal at this time is relative adoption.
Correct.
Any known barriers to the goal?
Not at this time.
All right. Anything in particular that we're waiting on to achieve the goal?
We're still in the process of the family getting licensed. We are in the process of getting the Social Security card.
What's the most important thing that needs to be done as far as licensing?
We're finishing up some documentation on the family side, and she needs to, I believe, finish up some training and then a home study.
Has Belong made sure that Miss Lapatina has the referrals that she needs and the information that she needs?
Yes.
Okay. Placement, the least restricted placement available?
Yes.
And has she been able to express her wants and desires to belong as to her placement?
Yes, she has expressed that she is excited about adoption and she's ready for it to occur.
Good. And to your knowledge, are there any other family members that have come forward?
No, not at this time.
She's up to date on her medical, dental, vision?
Yes, we are pending a psychological, but yes, she is up to date with medical and dental.
When you say pending psychological, you mean awaiting the results?
No, I believe they are in the process of scheduling one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And her psychotropic medications, the reviews are up to date?
Yes, last monitor was January 2023.
How are her behaviors right now?
Good. She is enjoying it. She's doing well in school. She's making friends at school. She's doing well in school. She is struggling a little bit with the STAR testing. And so they are looking to evaluate her for special education to see if that could maybe help with the STAR testing. But she is receiving 504 accommodations and tutoring.
So do you believe her educational needs are being met?
Yes.
Who is her medical consenter?
It is Meredith and Aaron.
Do you believe that's appropriate at this time, or do you think that Susan should have some say in that?
I believe it's appropriate at this time. She's very good at vocal, so I think we're good at this time.
Okay. Any other reasonable efforts that Belong has made at this time towards achieving the permanency goal?
We're just continuing to work with the family and making sure that she has all the resources she needs, following up with any appointments that she may need or any barriers. We're hoping to possibly have it completed in the next couple months, get her license, and hopefully have the adoption by summer.
The sibling visitation is going well?
Yes.
Do you recommend that continue?
Yes.
And any complications as to her wisdom tooth surgery or wisdom
No.
teeth surgery?
No, it was completed in November and she's fully recovered.
Right. Okay. Mr. McKeska, any questions for Ms. Martinez?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Savage?
Are there any court orders or anything we can do to help move along the adoption process?
Not at this time. I think it's more just making sure Ms. Lapatina has all the documents completed and submitted in. So no court orders though.
Okay, the HESIG's been requested.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and the redacted file?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Anything you want to add, Ms. Savage?
This is a great kid, man. She's got her head on straight now. I know that's not where we things were kind of a mess when we started, but I mean, when I've talked to her, she had a goal, she had a plan, and she was working towards it. And I think that's all we can ask from our teenagers is knowing what they want and putting the work in. So I'm happy to see where she's at. And if there's anything we can do to support her, I'm here for it.
All right. Ms. Lucas?
Well, I have to concur with everything. Doing very well. I speak to her weekly or bi-weekly, and it's always positive. It's she's excited about living with Meredith and the family. She's excited about what they do. She just sent me some pictures of some chicks. They're getting ready to raise chickens, and it's just a really positive, thriving child that I see, and it's been great. And I know that she's a happy girl, and school's going well. For her to request to have a meeting with you, and instead of missing school, I mean, that in itself is huge. That she was willing to, she said, I just can't miss any more school. So she's doing good. And I'm happy for her. I'm really pleased with Meredith's home and the love and attention that they all have together as a family.
Thank you, Ms. Lucas. I'm glad to hear it as well. Ms. Lapatina, is there anything else that you want to add or any questions you have?
No, I don't have any questions. Has really just been wonderful. We're just over the moon. She's been great. We've had no behavioral issues. She's happy. She's doing great. I'm so proud of her. I am working on I should be by the end of tomorrow, have all the documentation I need to send to the adoption. The only thing is, I don't remember who told me somebody was going to send me a list of adoption attorneys. I guess I need to hire our side of it, and I haven't gotten that. So I don't really know who's can give me that information. But other than that, that's all really that we need.
I can send that to her, Your Honor.
Okay, driver's ed. So y'all say some prayers for all of us. But other than that, she's doing great, and I'm really proud of her. Good.
I'm glad to hear it. That's one of the things that we talked about in our meeting was her working on getting her driver's license. So
Yeah,
happy to that. And I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. You broke up.
I'm sorry, it broke up for me. I thought you were finished. I did receive her social security card. That's what we were waiting to get her signed up for driver's ed. So I do have her social and her birth certificate now.
Very good. Thank you. Well, we appreciate everything that you have done, you and your family has done. Can't tell you how much we appreciate all that. So, all right. The court will find the permanency going relative adoption is appropriate. The court finds that her placement with the Latinas is safe, appropriate, meeting her needs and her best interest to continue. Court finds that she's up to date on her medical, dental, and vision. Court finds that she's in the least restricted placement possible, and that she has had the opportunity to express her wants and desires as to placement, and there have been no other family members to come forward since the last hearing. Court finds that the only known barrier to the adoption at this time is just licensing, and some of those issues. I will find that Belong has made reasonable efforts to assist the placement with getting licensing and making sure that they have all the resources they need. Court will find that medicational needs are being met and her psychotropic reviews are up to date. We'll be back for our next permanency review after final order, August the 9th, 2023 at 9 a.m. Anything I failed to address? No? Okay. Well, thank you all for the hard work on this case and hanging in there. If nothing further, all parties are excused.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. All right, I've got two people. It looks like somebody's driving, and if just please make sure your device is still, and if you're driving, you may need to pull over during the hearing, please. All right. Is anyone missing anyone else they expected to be here?
Your Honor, I don't think Dad is going to be here, but we do have a relinquishment.
Okay. Thank you. Is that placement that's driving?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anybody going to take testimony from placement?
I may with Miss Valdez, but not with Mr. Valdez.
Okay, Mr. McKeska, would you please begin the announcements?
Grant McKeska, attorney for the department.
Ashley Crouch, permanency
Mance for the mother, Lucinda Mance for the mother,
Cecilia Howard on behalf of the father, Mr. Valdez. He is not present, but I am ready with the relinquishment.
Shelley Nix, belong permanency specialist.
Anna Swallow, attorney ad litem for Ace, the child.
Judy Hartnett, CASA CASA volunteer for the child. I gave myself a promotion.
Amy Harding, Hill Country CASA supervisor, guardian ad litem for the child.
Janine Valdez placement.
All right. And then Mr. Valdez, that's driving, if you're going to be potentially giving testimony, I'm going to need you to pull over, sir.
Okay, I'm about
Thank
to
you.
pull over. Yes,
All
sir.
right. Thank you. Okay. We are here for a final trial. And I heard Ms. Hellroan say that she's ready with the relinquishment. How's the department wish to proceed today, Mr. McKeska?
Yes, Judge. We attended mediation on February 21st. We reached agreement during that mediation in which both parents would execute voluntary relinquishments. And both of those relinquishments were filed with the district clerk yesterday afternoon. So we would like to proceed with trial based on those relinquishments.
All right. Any other announcements before we begin? No. All right. Well, the court will take judicial notice of the relinquishments. You may proceed, Mr. McKeska.
Thank you, Judge. I would like to call Ms. Nix, and then Judge, if the share screen isn't enabled, I'd ask that it be enabled so I can bring up the relinquishments.
It's enabled.
Thank you, sir. All right, Ms. Nix, can you please state your name for the record?
Shelley Nix.
Okay, and how are you currently employed?
I am a permanency specialist with the lawn.
Okay, can you see what's displayed on my screen?
Yes.
Okay, and there's a document that's pulled up that's labeled as Petitioner's Exhibit Number 1. Can you please identify that document for me?
That is an affidavit of voluntary relinquishment of parental rights to the Department of Family and Protective Services.
Okay, and who is this relinquishment for?
For Miss Marissa Adams.
Okay, and it's a relinquishment with regard to the
Yes.
child. Okay, I'm going to scroll down through each page and get to the signature page. Did Miss Adams execute this relinquishment in front of 2 witnesses?
Yes, she did.
And did she also execute the relinquishment in front of a notary for the state of Texas?
Yes, she did.
Okay, at the time that Miss Adams executed this relinquishment, was she represented by an attorney?
Yes, she was.
Okay, is it your understanding that Miss Adams had the opportunity to review this affidavit with her attorney?
Yes.
Okay, is it your understanding that Miss Adams was able to have all of her questions answered regarding this relinquishment?
Yes.
Do you believe that Miss Adams executed this relinquishment with a complete understanding of the legal implications for executing it?
Yes.
Did the department threaten Miss Adams in any way, shape, or form in order to get her to execute this relinquishment?
No.
Did the department promise Miss Adams anything in exchange for her relinquishment?
No.
So your understanding is Miss Adams executed this relinquishment freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
Okay, and that she also executed this relinquishment believing that it was in the child's best interest?
Yes.
Okay. Judge, I'd like to introduce petitioners 1, Miss Adams' voluntary relinquishment. Miss Nix, do you see a document that's pre-marked as Petitioner's Exhibit Number 2?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and can you please identify that document for me?
Affidavit of voluntary relinquishment of parental rights to the Department of Family and Protective Services.
Okay, and who is this affidavit for?
Jonathan Lee Valdez in regards to
Yes.
ACE.
Yeah, I'm going to scroll through the affidavit and get to the signature page. Does it appear that Mr. Valdez executed this relinquishment in front of 2 witnesses?
Yes,
And that he also executed it in front of the notary for the state of Texas?
yes,
Okay, at the time that Mr. Valdez executed this relinquishment, was he represented by an attorney?
yes, he was.
And did Mr. Valdez have the opportunity to review this affidavit with his attorney?
Yes,
Is it your understanding that Mr. Valdez was able to have all of his questions answered regarding this relinquishment?
yes,
And that he did so with a full understanding of the legal implications of executing the relinquishment?
yes,
Did the department promise Mr. Valdez anything in exchange for his relinquishment?
no,
Did the department threaten Mr. Valdez in any way, shape, or form in order to get him to execute the relinquishment?
no,
Is it your understanding that Mr. Valdez executed this relinquishment freely and voluntarily,
yes,
and that he did so believing it was in his child's best interest?
yes,
Okay, same thing with this affidavit. There's a signature at the, or a spot for a signature at the bottom to designate or consent to designate the department as the managing conservator of ACE. And you were listed as the agent for the department. Is that correct?
yes, I am.
Okay, and you did not have the opportunity to sign this relinquishment prior to it being filed.
No, I did not.
Are you giving your consent as the agent of the department today for the department to be named as the managing conservator of ACE?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Judge, I'd like to introduce petitioners too. Ms. Nix, just briefly, where is ACE currently placed?
Ace is placed with Janine and David Valdez. They are his aunt and uncle.
Okay, and how is ACE doing in that placement?
He's doing very well there. He's just thriving and smart little fella, and he's just doing very well overall.
Okay, how long has ACE been placed with his aunt and uncle?
I have not double checked the date of the placement. I know he was already there when I got the case, so he's been there the entirety of the case, I believe, or most of it. I'm sorry, I didn't look at the placement date.
No worries. Is it your understanding that he's been placed there for a while?
Yes,
Okay, and
more than 6 months.
has the department and or belong had any concerns with regard to the care that ACE has received?
No, not at all.
Okay. What is the current permanency goal for ACE?
It is for Mr. and Ms. Valdez to adopt ACE.
Okay. And are there any barriers outside of the issues being dealt with at a trial today that would prohibit them from being able to adopt him and moving forward?
Not at this time.
And do you believe that the permanency goal of relative adoption is in ACE's best interest?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Have you had the opportunity to observe the bond between ACE and Mr. and Mrs. Valdez?
Yes, I visited Ace in the home every month since October, and he definitely has formed a bond with his caregivers.
Okay, and can you just describe that bond briefly for us?
He sees them as mom and dad. He looks to them for assurance when he's needing assurance. He looks to them for praise and adoration when he's doing well, and he seeks them out, and he knows that they're there to take care of him.
As far as today is concerned, is the department asking for the court to terminate the parent-child relationship between the respective parents and ACE based solely on their relinquishments today?
Yes.
And also for the court to make a finding that termination is in the child's best interest?
Yes.
Okay, and then at mediation, did the parties also agree the department would waive any and all claims to child support with regard to ACE?
Yes.
Okay. And that there's also an agreement for Ms. Adams to have a goodbye visit within 30 days of this hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Are you asking the court to adopt and approve the immediate settlement agreement that the parties reached on February 21st?
Yes, I am.
You believe that the agreement that was reached on the 21st is in ACE's best interest?
Yes, it is.
Pass the witness, Judge.
Ms. Nix, have you had an opportunity to set up the final visit between Miss Adams and Ace?
No, I haven't done that yet, but I will.
Okay. And what do you recall as part of the agreement in regards to that visit?
That I would supervise the visit, and that once we have a date planned, that Miss Adams would need to confirm and follow through with that date, because it wouldn't be able to be rescheduled.
And additionally, this visit is for her and Ace only, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And she's not to bring any other relatives or the baby?
Correct.
And the baby, what baby am I referring to? Do you know?
Yes, she gave birth to a son around mid-January.
Okay. Does the department have concerns regarding that baby at this time?
Yes.
Judge, I'm going to object to the relevance regarding this matter.
Judge, I think she already responded.
All right. I guess let's just move on from this line of questioning.
Ms. Nix, in addition, has it been a previous concern at visits that mom tends to bring photos or share photos?
I'm going to
of different?
object. We have MSA, and this whole line of questioning is irrelevant.
Sustained.
Ms. Nix, as part of the agreement, is it also stated that the mom is not to discuss or show photos of other individuals?
Yes.
Is it belongs expectation that her phone will be used only in an emergency situation if such arises?
Yes.
Okay. And if at any time something occurs that involves other family members or using her phone in a sense that's not an emergency, can stop the visit?
Yes.
Is that because it wouldn't be in ACE's best
I'm going
interest?
to object, Judge. It's mediated settlement. We've all agreed to these terms, and they've been filed.
Judge, I'm discussing best interest at this time.
I'll allow you to go forward as far as best interests are concerned, but I think I've heard what I need to hear. I'll sustain that objection.
Ms. Nix, do you believe that the agreement we entered into is in ACE's best interest?
Yes.
Thank you. I pass the witness.
Any follow-up, Mr. McKeska?
No, Judge.
All right. Any other witnesses?
No, Judge. The department rests.
Miss Mance, do you have any witnesses?
Yes, I'd like to call the mother, Marissa Adams.
All right. She's been sworn. You may proceed.
You are the mother of Ace.
Yes.
Did you and I meet yesterday at the CASA office in Kerrville?
Yes, we did.
And I reviewed the affidavit of relinquishment of parental rights with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have an opportunity to ask questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you feel that you understand all the terms of that document?
Yes, ma'am.
Did anyone make any promises to you, coerce you to execute that document?
No, ma'am.
And do you believe it is in ACE's best interest at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. And additionally, do you understand all the terms of the mediated settlement agreement as it pertains to the goodbye visit?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right, thank you. I'll pass, Judge.
I'd like to call placement Janine Valdez briefly, Judge.
All right. She's been sworn.
You heard the testimony today with Ms. Nix. She testified that she was unsure the amount of time Ace has been in your home. Can you speak to that?
He's been here 8 months, March 5th or 6th, I believe.
Okay. And how are you related to Ace?
I'm his aunt. Great aunt is what it is.
And is that on the paternal side of the family?
Yes.
And is it your understanding that the parents requested you to be placement of Ace?
Yes.
And are you, being on the paternal side of the family, is it your position that it's would be in ACE's best interest to have contact with family only if it's in his best interest?
Yes.
And can you explain to the court what, just for example, what a day consists of for you and ACE?
We wake up about 6:30, well, closer to 7 o'clock. We get up, get the kids ready for school. He gets up with me and we make lunch, make breakfast, everybody eats. Then we take my son to school. My husband takes my daughter and we go together in the car, take him, come back. And then we play, he eats. Usually he likes some fruit with his breakfast and then we go outside for a little bit. He loves to play outside. So we play outside. It depends on the day. There's days where we have play dates, of course. Then he has 2 naps through the day. So depending on what we're doing, he has a nap. Like right now, he's having a nap. Then he gets another one right after lunch. Then depending on what our schedule is like, he either has a play date or we have, go, to the stores, whatever grocery stores, chores that we may have to go do. And then when we come home again, it's outside play, either playground, backyard play, depending on what we got going on. He loves to be outside. So we try to do as much as we can outside. And he has a lot of friends that he plays with. We have a lot of friends from church that there's a lot of kids his age. So we set up play dates. Usually on Fridays we go, we have youth events at our gym. So we go there in the evenings and he gets he gets to play in the gym and gets to play basketball, which he absolutely loves. So,
thank you. Ms. Valdez, it sounds like there is, would you agree that there's routine and consistency for him?
Yes. And he thrives off consistency.
And does he sleep well through the night?
Yes, he does.
And in your home, is there any domestic violence?
No.
Is there any substance abuse?
No.
Does ACE need any services at this time due to being, when he came into care, he was positive for methamphetamines?
Mm-hmm. No,
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, he is healthy right now. He hasn't had any issues. The only thing we are looking for is some speech therapy that he is getting tested for. It's going to depend on what they believe once he gets tested. With Karen Klein has referred me to another, I guess the school is who actually tests him, and they will be scheduling something soon.
Okay. And there's other children in your home, correct?
That's correct.
Is he bonded to them?
Yes. Yes.
Is he bonded to you and your husband?
Yes.
Okay. And is it your intention to adopt ACE should that become possible?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I pass the witness.
Thank you.
Any other witnesses? No? Okay. Any report that you want to give at this time, Ms. Wallow?
Judge, I just believe that the agreement we entered into at mediation is in ACE's best interest. He deserves permanency. He deserves consistency and the routine and the stability that placement has provided to him. And I think that termination of the parent's parental rights at this time is in his best interest.
Thank you. Ms. Hartnett.
Thank you, Your Honor. I pretty much agree with everything that was said. We agreed to the mediation agreement. We agreed with proceeding toward adoption. All of this is in ACE's best interest, and I've been with him a lot, and he is very bonded with the family and is thriving. And I think adoption I think he'd be a really lucky kid to live in that household. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hartnett. All right. For the purposes of the final trial, court finds that it has jurisdiction over the subject matter and the parties. Court finds that no evidence of any other court having a continuing exclusive jurisdiction has been presented. Court finds that this court is the court of continuing exclusive jurisdiction of the child. Will find that all parties entitled to citation and notice have been duly cited and served or have otherwise entered an appearance. Court finds that the department has, well, let me back up a step. I want to ask the questions of Ms. Adams. Ms. Adams, can you unmute, please?
Yes, sir.
You heard the terms and conditions of the mediated settlement agreement Mr. McKeska stated.
Yes, sir.
Is that the agreement you made?
Yes, sir.
Did you make that agreement voluntarily?
Yes.
Were you forced to enter into that agreement? Were you made any promises to get you to agree to it?
No.
Are you asking the court to approve the agreement today?
Yes,
And you had the opportunity to discuss the agreement with your attorney, correct?
sir.
Okay. All right. And then as far as Mr. Valdez, Ms. Hellrung has represented to the court that he wished to relinquish. So court will find that the agreement of the parties is in the best interest of the child. Court will accept the mediated settlement agreement and find that pursuant to chapter 161.001B1K of the family code, Texas Family Code, that both parents have signed a relinquishment and presented that to the court either on or before the trial. Court finds the department has proved by clear and convincing evidence that the parents executed these relinquishments and the department has consented to be the managing conservator of the child. Court finds it's in the best interest of the child to terminate the parental rights of both parents. Court will not order any post-termination child support. Court finds that the child is bonded to the caregivers as well as their children. Court finds that the placement of the child is in the best interest of the child, that it's safe and appropriate, meeting his needs. Court will name the Department of Family Protective Services as a permanent managing conservator. And the court will dismiss Ms. Mance and Ms. Hellrung and their appointments as attorneys for the parents. Court will order that mom shall have her goodbye visit within 30 days of this hearing. And Ms. Adams, I'm going to admonish you. I heard the concerns of the attorney ad litem that you are to follow the rules for this visit as agreed. There's not to be any inappropriate behavior. Don't show the child any photos. Don't talk about other family members. Don't bring any other family members. This is a goodbye visit between you and the child only. You have to follow the rules or the visit can be ended by the department, or excuse me, belong. Court finds that the permanency goal of relative adoption is appropriate in the best interest of the child. Next hearing will be the permanency review after final order. And that's going to be May the 12th, 2023 at 10 a.m. All right. Well, I appreciate all of you working this out, coming to an agreement and resolving this amicably. And thank you all. Good luck to you. If nothing further, all parties are excused.
Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Your Honor.
Drake McKeska, attorney for the department.
Kurt Redkin, attorney for Roland Reyes.
Irene Acosta, attorney for Misty Pearson.
David Nelson, CASA advocate.
Oh, go ahead.
Just go ahead, Maureen. Sorry.
Thanks, Cecilia. Maureen Yanos for the father of Zanaya. Mr. Galloway, will you unmute and announce?
Present.
Morning. State your name, please, sir.
James Galloway.
Thank you.
The father of Zanaya.
Cecilia Hellrung on behalf of the children ready.
Ashley Crouch, belong permanency supervisor.
Jennifer Harris, attorney for respondent father, Mr. Moselle. He is the father of Christian. He is incarcerated and is not present, Your Honor. However, I remain in contact with him and I'm ready to proceed.
Alejandra Cerduche, permanency specialist with Belong.
Haley Reyes, placement.
Amy Harding, Hill Country CASA supervisor, guardian ad litem for all 4 children.
Mr. Barnett, can you announce, please?
Oh, Isaiah Barnett, father of Neville.
Does anybody else still need to announce? All right, Mr. Galloway, you can't be eating in the courtroom, sir. Okay, I'm gonna need you to not eat while we're in court. Mr. Nelson, did you announce?
Yes, sir. Casa.
Okay. Mr. Rodman represents Mr. Barnett. Mr. Barnett, do you have any objections to moving forward without your attorney here today?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. And if you could keep yourselves muted, please, throughout the hearing, unless you're testifying, I would appreciate it. Okay, we're here today for permanency review before final order. We have a lot of ground to cover. Miss, is it Zertuki? Is that how you pronounce it?
It's Sertuche, but you can call me Alex.
Zertuche? I can do that. I can pronounce that. All right.
Okay.
All right. And you're familiar with the report that Ms. Rodriguez drafted? Okay.
Yes, but it's still a lot. So if I make mistakes, I'm sorry.
I understand. Well, I'm going to go through it just to help us all stay on the same page because we do have several children in this case with multiple parents. All right. So let's talk about Christian. Christian is 10 and currently placed in kinship in Kirk County. Mother has denied American Indian child status for all of the children. Nevaeh is 9 and currently in relative placement in Kirk County with father. Zanaya, also relative placement with her father in Kirk County. She's 6. And Roland is 1 with relative placement in Kirk County. American Indian child status denied for all children. Is that all still correct?
To my understanding, yes.
Okay. To your understanding, are the placements for the children safe and appropriate and meeting their needs?
Yes. I know we were going to discuss Christian's placement, though.
Okay. We can do that in a moment.
Roland is 2 and placed in Bear County.
The permanency goal for Christian at this time is reunification with the mother.
Yes.
Permanency goal for Nevaeh is reunification with her father as well as Zanaya.
Yes.
And permanency goal for Roland.
Relative adoption with Haley.
You believe those permanency goals are in the best interest of the children?
I do.
And are any of the children receiving psychotropic medications?
No.
To your knowledge, is Roland developmentally on target?
He is delayed in his speech. They have reached out to ECI, and I believe last I heard, Haley was waiting for them to reach out to her. They said that he had issues with his eating, that he's has a gurgle in his chest when he's breathing. But I believe they said that they ruled out asthma. They did a sleep test and the results are pending, and they're still awaiting a swallow and sweat test.
Okay. Do you believe that that concern is being appropriately addressed?
Yes.
The parents who are having their visitation, is the visitation appropriate?
To my knowledge, yes.
Are you asking for any changes to visitation schedules today?
Not at this time.
Is Ms. Pearson in compliance with her family plan of service?
Yes.
Does she have a copy of it?
I don't know the answer, but I'm sure Lori gave it to her. I can find out.
All right. We'll get to that. Is Mr. Moselle in compliance with his family plan of service?
I think he only has done the paternity test.
What about Mr. Barnett?
The family plan only says for right now that he's making sure that the child's needs are met and he's communicating with the department. If it says that if it was recommended by Nevaeh's therapist, he would engage in family therapy, but it was not recommended.
So he's in compliance then?
Yes.
What about Mr. Galloway?
Yes. Oops, sorry.
Sounds like somebody's hungry. The report says that Mr. Galloway needs to schedule an appointment with his doctors regarding proper medicine management. Did Ms. Rodriguez talk to you about that?
No, but I spoke with my supervisor about that, and I'm going to see him next Wednesday. Because he was also needing to get connected with local resources like food banks. So I was able to schedule that for him, and I'm going to pick up that the stuff at the food bank for him to take it to him because he's having issues with transportation. So I can discuss it with him there, and if he is requiring transportation for those specific appointments, it can be provided to him and explained.
Okay. At this point in time, as of today, do you believe that all parents have, well, not Mr. Moselle and not Mr. Reyes because they're incarcerated, but have the other parents successfully demonstrated that they've addressed the concerns that have brought the children into the care of the department?
Yes.
What's the department's plan as to Miss Pearson?
So we were wanting to reunify Christian with Miss Pearson.
Have you discussed that with the parties?
Yes, there's some complications with the maternal grandmother, Billy, and she's expressed that she no longer wants Christian living in the home.
You want to reunify immediately?
If possible, yes.
Do you believe that each parent is aware of what is expected of them at this time in the case?
Yes.
As far as Mr. Reyes and Mr. Moselle, is it your opinion that they still pose a danger to the children if the children were returned?
I don't know if I can answer that, but from what I see, I believe so.
All right, Mr. McKeska, do you have questions from Ms. Tucci?
Yes, Judge. Let's talk specifically about Christian. When was Belong notified that Miss Cleary no longer wanted to have Christian placed in her home?
On Monday.
Has Pearson been allowed to move into Miss Cleary's home?
Yes.
And when was she allowed to move into Miss Cleary's home?
I'm sorry, what was that?
When was she allowed to move into Miss Cleary's home?
Oh, I don't have the answer to that. Sorry.
Okay. What is before you became the primary caseworker, is that correct?
Yes. When I got it, she was living in the home.
Okay. And was Miss Pearson allowed to move into Miss Cleary's home as an additional support for Miss Cleary and for Christian?
Yes.
Okay. And has Belong discussed the possible placement options for Christian now that Miss Cleary has said she wants Christian out of the home?
Yes.
Okay. And what are the options that are available right now?
Living with Misty.
Okay. Are there any other possible placement options?
Due to his medical status, I don't believe so.
Okay. Has Belong requested a placement be identified through the placement team for Christian at this point?
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay. What is Belong's primary goal as far as Christian's placement right now?
Primary goal as in being reunified with the mother?
Well, so Ms. Cleary said that she wants Christian out of the home.
Right.
And so what is Belong's primary goal as far as Christian's placement right now?
The fact that he would get his medical needs met being with his mother.
Okay, so let's talk about that specifically then. What sort of medical needs does Christian have right now?
I know he's awaiting biopsy results.
Biopsy results for what? Well, he had a biopsy for spots that were found on his liver. Is that correct?
Right. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And so there was a biopsy on those spots to determine what those spots are.
Mm-hmm. And they're waiting for the appointment to be scheduled to go over the results.
Okay. Has Ms. Pearson been involved in those medical appointments, specifically with Christian?
Yes.
Okay. Is Christian also receiving services through the local MHMR, MHDD provider there in Kerr County?
Yes.
And is Christian being evaluated for intellectual disability and autism by the MHDD provider?
Yes, he has appointments on March 2nd and March 6th.
Okay. And has Ms. Pearson been involved in those appointments as well?
Yes.
Okay, so do you think that it's a fair statement to say that Ms. Pearson is aware of these medical appointments, these potential medical issues, and also these appointments with MHDD and behavioral issues with Christian?
Yes.
Okay, and has Ms. Pearson been a support system for Christian during these various appointments?
Yes.
Okay, and how has Christian reacted to Ms. Pearson being that support system?
Christian is a lot calmer at appointments, I've heard, when Misty is there. And he has expressed that he wants to be with Misty.
Okay. And at this point, has Ms. Pearson been able to identify a residence or a place that she can go to with Christian outside of Ms. Cleary's home?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
Okay. And so is Belong asking the court to authorize placement of Christian with Ms. Pearson today?
Yes.
Provided that the location where she is identified as a potential residence checks out and is safe and appropriate.
Yes.
Okay. If the court were to deny that request today, do you have any idea where Christian might end up being placed?
I know I discussed it with my supervisor, but in regards to his medical needs, I think it would be limited. Like the resources that we can provide him with would be limited.
Okay. So do you think that given Christian's specific medical needs and his specific mental health needs, that being placed with Ms. Pearson at this point would be in his best interest?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any other information regarding any of the other children or any of the other parents do you think the court should be aware of today?
No.
Okay. Pass the witness, Judge.
Ms. Artucha, what does mom need to do to continue being in compliance at this time?
I believe she has completed her parenting, any baby can, and domestic violence. She needs to continue her individual counseling with Optimal. And I believe that's it, to my understanding.
Okay, and what are her visits currently with the children?
They are every other Saturday from 1:30 to 3:30 at the.
And are they supervised at this time?
Yes.
Have they been staffed for unsupervised visits given her compliance with services?
I'm not sure.
Moving forward, is that something that the department is willing to look at, considering she is compliant and in all of her services?
I think so.
At this time, why is the concurrent goal adoption by relative for the baby, Roland, if mom is compliant with all of her services?
I believe that mom has also agreed to that placement or that adoption.
But we're still in this case, right?
Right.
So a concurrent goal is reunification with mom, correct?
Yes. But to my understanding, I think she has expressed that Roland be adopted by Haley.
Has she specifically said that to you?
Not to me. I just got this case, so I wouldn't be able to give you an answer for that.
Okay. So if mom didn't want Roland to be adopted and did want to be reunified with him, is that something that the department is still willing to explore?
I want to say yes.
Okay, thank you. Are you requesting that Christian be placed with mom today, given his medical issues and his current placement issues?
I think we would like to do that for today, unless Billy would be in agreement to keep them in her home till like Saturday or maybe Monday.
Okay. Going back to visits, again, given mom's compliance with services, do you believe that the visits should be increased?
I don't believe any changes should be made at this time from what I've staffed with my supervisor.
Okay, but moving forward, you are willing to staff unsupervised visits, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Have you been able to make any contact with Mr. Moselle at this point?
No, ma'am.
Okay, will you be setting that up?
I can, yes.
Are there any services that are available at his facility for him to work?
I believe they have the parenting education, but I can't give you an exact answer. I'm sorry. I would have to ask. I know he had a pregnancy worker go out there, but as far as like what services, I can find out.
Thank you. No further questions, Judge.
You mentioned that you believe Roland Reyes is a danger to the children or would be a danger to the children if he was in their presence. What's your reasoning for that?
I believe he is incarcerated at this time and his release date is till 2030. But from what I've seen, there were issues with domestic violence and they were requesting a psychosocial be done. So until those matters were addressed, then I would change my opinion on that.
Okay, I'll pass witness.
Anybody else have a witness they want to call?
No.
No, Your Honor, just a report.
Go ahead, Ms. Sauron.
Okay. On Sunday, I went to go visit with Christian and I was told that the department or Belong had told the mother and Ms. Cleary that she was looking to reunify. I went yesterday to visit Ms. Reyes and was told that the department wants to terminate as to the baby. I think that these are very inconsistent goals. I will start by saying that Christian wants to be reunified with his mother. However, I think the court needs to be aware of a couple of things so that the court can be fully informed. On Monday, Belong sent out an email that reads, Alex, who is the new caseworker, got a call from the kinship worker And it is her understanding that Billy, who is the grandmother, expressed if she did not like the outcome of Wednesday's hearing, Christian would no longer be welcome in her home. She said she would go so far as to drop him off at the CPS office. Your Honor, you are aware there was a case last time that went to reunification, and in large part because of information that I received from the grandmother that she could no longer care for the children. Ms. Pearson is facing felony charges for abandoning her children. And I am very concerned at the bully tactics of the grandmother giving us no choice but to reunify with mom. If the court does determine that it is in his best interest to be placed with Ms. Pearson, then I would just make sure that we have protections in place. My concern is the history with Ms. Pearson doing everything she's supposed to do until the case is closed and then basically abandoning her role as a parent. Christian has significant needs, not only physical, but mental. There was an incident with him. I believe it was referenced in the CASA report. He's confused. He doesn't really understand what's going on. And the grandmother has kicked him out now twice. So I don't really know that it is in his best interest to stay with Ms. Cleary at all. I think we need to have an immediate staffing to discuss other options and make sure that if Christian is going to be placed with Ms. Pearson, that we have someone there that can assist her as well. My understanding from talking to Ms. Cleary is that Ms. Pearson works until 7 or 8 o'clock at night and works weekends. I'm concerned of who is going to watch Christian during that time. So I'm very upset about the bully tactics, and I believe we need to look at what is best for Christian and have those protections in place instead of immediately placing him with Ms. Pearson because the grandmother is threatening to turn him into CPS if we don't. As with the other children, I went to visit Zanea yesterday, and I've had ongoing contact with Nevaeh due to some issues that occurred several weeks ago. So the girls are doing extraordinarily well with their fathers. So I think we do need to go to mediation to discuss that. But I also believe that when it comes to Christian and Roland, we probably need to discuss extending the case. I spoke with Ms. Reyes. She and her husband are not yet licensed. So I would like additional time to address that. And again, there are the concerns of the department wanting to terminate mom as to Roland. And I can tell you, the girls and specifically have asked that we work, in trying to come up with another solution other than termination because they still want a relationship with their brother.
What do you suggest as far as placement for Christian at this time?
I think we need to discuss it, Your Honor. I know that Ms. Pearson was living with someone at the last hearing who is supportive. I just want to make sure that there are protections in place and we're not just placing him immediately with Ms. Pearson with no help for her. And, I have serious concerns with doing that. Now, I don't know what Ms. Cleary is going to do, but I do think we need to have that discussion and not just go, let's place him, and we don't know what is going to happen. I don't know Ms. Pearson's schedule. I don't even know if she actually has housing at this point.
I spent a considerable amount of time with Christian and Misty on their appointments, and I will tell you that Misty does have a very good relationship with Christian. I do share Cecilia's concerns regarding Misty being able to take care of Christian by herself with all the issues that Christian has. One of the suggestions was that Misty had previously lived with a friend of hers, and was it possible that that friend would accept Christian and Misty together or something like that? So there would be some assistance there, because I'll be honest, taking care of Christian is going to be a full-time job. He has mental and physical issues, and I will tell you, Misty cares about him, but I'm not sure she can take care of him by herself.
All right. For the purposes of the permanency review of final order, finds that at the moment, all the children are in a place that are safe, appropriate, meeting their needs. Court finds that it's in the best interest for Roland, Anaya, and Nevaeh to remain in their placements. We'll talk about Christian here in a moment. Court finds that the permanency goal for Roland is relative adoption, with the concurrent goal of family reunification with Reyes. Obviously, the parties need to discuss that. As to where that's going to go. Ms. Greenlee, I'm echoing. Everybody hear me okay?
It sounds like you got some reverb going, Judge. That I'm getting it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's difficult.
Is this any better?
A little bit, Judge.
Can you understand me enough?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's gonna have to do for now. All right. Court finds that the permanency goal for Roland is relative adoption with current goal of family reunification. Court finds that the permanency goals for Zanaya and Nevaeh were to remain with their father at this time, as well as the same for permanency goal for Nevaeh and family reunification, permanency goal for Roland, relative adoption. As far as Christian is concerned, I mean, it sounds like the permanency goal that everyone wants to see happen eventually is reunification with Pearson, but I'm hearing evidence that may not be in the best interest at this time. But I'll adopt that goal for now. Court finds that the current visitation plan is appropriate. I'm not making any changes to the visitation schedule. I also want to make sure Malone follows up on Roland's beach issues. I'll find that Ms. Pearson is in compliance with the family plan of service, as Mr. Barnett and Mr. Galloway also. Mr. Moselle and Mr. Reyes are not in compliance with their family plan of service. Order parties to mediation, and I'm also going to order Casa, Malone, and the attorney ad litem to staff as to Christian's placement with 24 hours and consult with the other parties as necessary. So I think Belong and Casa and Litem can do the heavy lifting on that, and then get with the other attorneys as you need to. I'm going to order Belong also to contact Mr. Moselle and Mr. Reyes at the facility as soon as possible. Regarding Christian, again, I'm ordering that staffing. I don't know what Ms. Cleary is going to do either, but there's from what I'm hearing right now, there's nowhere else to go. I'm not going to place him with Pearson right now. Don't believe that's in his best interest at this time. But I do want the parties to staff it and to figure out where it's going to go and what the timeline is going to look like. I heard Ms. Hellrung mention something about an extension. I'm going to let you all talk about that. Your trial date is May the 3rd. 2023 at 9:30 for your time in service. Parents, congratulations. I'm proud of you for the work done so far. And good luck to you as we move forward in the future. Thank you. I'm going to mute anybody who's not testifying just to cut down on background noise. And Ms. Nick, you'll be giving testimony today.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Sebastian at this point in time is 2 years old and is in a kinship placement in Kerr County, correct? Permanency goal at this time is relative adoption.
Yes.
And there is a concurrent goal of relative conservatorship.
Yes.
Sebastian appears to be doing well. He's been evaluated by ECI. And that's pending. A second one is pending.
Yes, Your Honor, we've really struggled with getting information out of ECI, but I was able to speak with someone and hopefully they're moving on getting it scheduled. I think they're dealing with a great deal of turnover and shortages like a lot of other agencies.
Okay. Do you believe the concerns for delays have been appropriately addressed considering that?
Yes, Your Honor. I think if anything, it might just be in the area of speech, but he talks a lot. I visit him at daycare. They say he talks a lot. I don't have any difficulty understanding him, but just to be certain that he's on target, we want the evaluation to occur.
Okay, and he's up to date on his medical and dental?
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
All right. And it says NA for his vision. Has he had a check for that? Does he seem to be okay there?
Yeah, it wasn't, sorry, Your Honor, yes. It wasn't marked on the medical form, and at his age, I don't know how much of an assessment they could do, but we don't have any concerns that he can't see.
Okay. And his placement is safe and appropriate, meeting his needs?
Yes, it is.
It is in his best interest to continue there at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
What happened with the DNA test with Mr. Sharp?
It was completed as requested. I'm sorry, Your Honor, I did email as you court ordered everybody to. I actually called the lab. Mr. Sharp called me and confirmed that he was going, and I called the lab and confirmed that he went. We got the DNA test results back, and I believe that I did see an e-filing. Mr. McKeska can keep us up to date on that, but I believe it was e-filed with adjudicating Mr. Sharp as the father.
And have you had contact with Miss Hernandez?
Not recently. I double checked this morning to be sure. My last communication from her was an email on February the 19th in which she stated that she was going back into rehab that day. And I haven't heard anything further from her. So that's been about 10 days.
Is Miss Hernandez in compliance with her family plan of service?
No, Your Honor, she has really struggled with her sobriety and has been in and out of treatment just during my tenure in this case since October. So no, Your Honor, she's not in compliance.
Okay. And is she cooperating with the department or belong?
I will give her credit for reaching out to me and apprising me of her current circumstances. So I do believe in that regard, she has been cooperative of letting me know where she is. She just really hasn't been able to follow through with her services.
Does she have a copy of her family plan of service?
I have not been able to meet with her in person since she's been in Houston the entire time. And so no, I can't say for certain on the record that she has a copy, but I will ensure that she has one.
And is Mr. Sharp in compliance with his family plan of service?
No, throughout the case, he was not interested in doing any services until the DNA testing was completed. Now that we do have the results as of January that he is the father, he has reached out to his attorney. He's interested in being sure that we know of family resources on his side of the family to take care of Sebastian, but I don't believe that he's interested in pursuing to have Sebastian placed with him or in doing any services.
Does he have a copy of his family plan of service either way?
Yes, sir. As court ordered, I put one in the mail to him after the last hearing and I emailed it to him.
Thank you. Did Miss Hernandez take the hair follicle that I had ordered back in December?
I'm trying to recall the last drug test. I believe she did, and it was positive.
Neither parent is having any contact with the child, correct?
No, after the last court hearing, I did facilitate a brief virtual visit between Sebastian and Ms. Hernandez, but that's the only contact.
Mr. McKeska, do you have any questions for Ms. Nix?
No, Your Honor.
I have one more. Ms. Nix, do you believe it would be in the best interest of the child and appropriate to try and attempt a mediation in this case?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Ms. Giannis, any questions for Ms. Nix?
Yes, Judge, thank you. Ms. Nix, granted, Ms. Hernandez has been in and out of treatment, but has she been able to engage in any other services that are on her plan?
No, throughout my entire time on this case, she's either been in rehab or reporting that she was out of rehab, but the issue with one of those treatment admissions was that she was never able to provide any documentation that she was successfully discharged, although she was no longer in treatment. So no, other than going in and out of treatment, she hasn't, and a couple of drug tests, she hasn't engaged in any services.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll pass.
Mr. Weatherby?
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Fuller?
Ms. Nix, isn't it true the mother did complete her psychological, correct?
Yes, she did. I'm sorry, I had forgotten about that, but yes, she did complete that the day after the last court hearing in December.
And at the last hearing, you were supposed to do referrals to optimal counseling and lifetime recovery for her. Was that done?
Yes, those were done almost the same day, but I never had any more follow-up from her except that she had come back into treatment in January.
And she was ordered to provide any discharge paperwork from the treatment that she's attended. Have you ever received any discharge paperwork?
No, I never received any paperwork from that discharge back in October, I believe it was.
And since Mr. Sharp was determined to be the father, have you set up services for him?
No, he has a worker in his region, in region 7. I think it's region 7 or 2 that can set up services for him. That's why he has a courtesy worker, because he lives out of the area.
But have they been set up for him?
I have not followed up with Ms. Fears to see if they've been set up.
And you indicated that he doesn't want to participate. Has he in fact told you that he doesn't want to participate in services?
He told his courtesy worker that he was waiting on the DNA test results.
But that was almost 2 months ago. So since then, has he told you that he doesn't want to participate?
No, he has not.
Okay. So can you follow up on the services for him?
Yes, I will do that.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
Any other questions, Mr. McKeska?
No, Judge.
Anybody else have any witnesses they want to call?
No, Judge.
Okay. What are your thoughts, Ms. Fuller?
Sebastian is doing great with his maternal grandmother. I mean, he has really flourished in her home. He talks a lot now. He's active. He's just a gorgeous little boy. I saw him last Friday, and he's just very happy where he's at. Kind of disappointed, and I mean, neither parent is really involved, so I think mediation would be appropriate. And they haven't even had contact with him. I mean, he's in a very safe placement, and she would be appropriate for him long term, to be honest. But I know we were supposed to get all the documentation from ECI and discharge, and I haven't seen any of that. And I think you ordered it, so I don't know what the problem is with ECI, but we were supposed to get all that. I mean, he seems on target to me, but we need to have it verified.
I'm looking at my notes from the last hearing. I don't have anything specific in there. I'd have to look at this order. Have you had any discussion specifically, Ms. Fuller, with Mr. Sharp?
No, I haven't, Your Honor. If Mr. Weatherby doesn't mind, I could speak with Mr. Sharp.
Okay. Any objection to that, Mr. Weatherby?
No, Your Honor. He's just now kind of coming into the case, so he needs some information.
Okay. Ms. Ebersol, I've read your report. Anything else that you want to add at this time?
No, I did see Sebastian on Monday at his daycare, and he seems to be doing well there, and he's potty trained and seems to be okay. I still want that ECI evaluation, though. I think that's important just to make sure. And I did contact ECI, and they said they couldn't find any record. It was going to have to be a new request put in. So I think that Shelley has done that, but I haven't heard anything yet. He's doing well though, where he is. I'm getting mixed things from his mom, Martha. She told me she was coming in this week to see, and I was going to try to facilitate a visit with him, but come to find out she really wasn't, because she wasn't in rehab like she made us think. And so now she went back in she emailed us on the 19th and said she was going back into rehab because she hadn't been doing right the last couple. She hadn't really been following it. So, and I don't know if she is. I never got any confirmation from her that she actually was, but she said she was going back in on the 19th to another rehab.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Ebersol. All right, then, for the purposes of the permanency review before final order, the court finds that the permanency goal of relative adoption with the concurrent goal of relative conservatorship is appropriate in the best interest of the child. Court finds that Sebastian is up to date on his medical, dental, vision. However, an ECI is pending. I'm going to order Belong to follow up with ECI, figure out what's going on with that. It doesn't sound like it's anything serious, but it's got to be done just to rule anything out. If he's got speech delays, he's going to have to get therapy for that. Court finds that the placement with Ms. Aguilar is safe, appropriate, meeting Sebastian's needs, and it's in his best interest to continue there. Court will take judicial notice of the order that this court signed on January the 18th, adjudicating Mr. Sharp as the father of Sebastian. Court finds that neither parent is in compliance with their family plan of service. Court finds that Mr. Sharp has a copy of his family plan of service. I'm going to order Belong to send a copy of Ms. Hernandez's family plan of service to her last known address. Contact with the child by either parent at this time is not in the best interest of the child unless and until the parents engage in services. And if they do, then they can have 1 hour twice a month contact with the child. And that can be increased upon agreement of the parties if the parents decide to engage. I'm going to order the parties to mediation. And I want to, Mr. Sharp, if you could unmute, please. All right, I just want to give you the opportunity. I want to make sure that you understand what's going on here. I know you Mr. Weatherby's your counsel, and he's very well versed in this area of the law. But I just want it on the record. You understand you've been adjudicated as Sebastian's father.
At first, I didn't understand what adjudicated meant. That just means that I'm legally the father, correct?
You're legally the father, and you have all the rights and duties of a father to a child under the Texas Family Code. Only right now, those rights and duties are restricted because we're in this CPS case, okay?
So you did say earlier the family services plans. I until the DNA test was done, I didn't really do anything because I didn't know for sure.
I understand what I'm talking to you about right now, and I can't talk for too long. You're going to have to ask Mr. Weatherby any questions you have. Is that I just want to make sure that I'm giving you the opportunity to understand that this is your chance if you want to have a relationship with this child. And I would hope that you would want to, that this is your chance to get involved and do what you have to do. If you absolutely do not want to have a relationship with this child, that's between that's your thing, and that's something you can talk to Mr. Weatherby about. But I would be remiss if I didn't make sure that I told you this is your chance. Okay. And whether or not you want to do that, whether or not you can do that, that's up to you. But I always support parents who have not been involved in the life of a child, at least giving it a lot of thought and determining whether or not you can provide for this child. But most importantly, whether you want to, because nobody can force you to do it. You have to want it. And I want to make sure that you understand that's what we're here for, is to reunify families. And, I understand until January the 18th, you legally were not this child's family, but now you are. So that's all I really want to say about that. You can talk to Mr. Weatherby about anything else, but I just wanted to get that on the record. Okay. The court has to admonish you that the state of Texas gives parents in CPS cases 12 months to demonstrate whether or not you can provide a safe, stable, violence, and drug-free home for your child. If you cannot demonstrate that within the 12-month period, your rights to your child are subject to restriction as they are now, or termination. Our next hearing is going to be a final trial, May 3rd, 2023 at 10 a.m. I'm ordering you all to go to mediation prior to that. I want to say one more thing because I have to know that I did it. I had a case in another county, Mr. Sharp, very similar circumstances, very similar fact pattern. And I had a young father come in, find out he was the father. And 6 months later, we placed that child with him. And we did a return and monitor. And he wound up being a great father to this child that he didn't even know he had, that he didn't think he wanted to do. And I want to make sure you understand you have the opportunity. You don't want it, you don't want it, but you have it. Mr. McKeska, is there anything else that I failed to address?
No, Judge.
Okay. Well, thank you all for your time and your service. Mr. Sharp, good luck to you. If there's nothing further, I'll place. Would you please begin the announcements?
Drake McKeska, attorney for the department.
Melinda Luna, attorney ad litem for the child.
Goldie Rabson, Hill Country Casa, guardian ad litem supervisor.
David Malilly, Hill Country Casa, guardian ad litem for the child.
I'm Laura Martinez, adoption supervisor covering for Kim Coffey.
873. Is that somebody who's already here? Just another. Anybody know who that is?
No.
All right, I'm going to remove them. All right, we're here for a permanency review after final order. Looking at Ms. Coffey's report, Ms. Martinez, Damien, who now prefers to be called Axel, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Is 16 and he's in Bexar County at a group home. And permanency goal is unrelated adoption. Is that placement safe and appropriate, meeting his needs?
Yes.
Is it in his best interest to continue there? the least restrictive placement available?
Yes,
Has he had the opportunity to just express his wants and desires as to placement?
yes, he has. He really enjoys the placement. He does want to stay there. He is open to adoption still, if the family, if he likes the family. But yes, he likes where he's at currently, but he is open to adoption.
Okay. Have any new family members come forward or been identified since we were last in court?
There was a step sibling's father who they reached out to, but he mentioned that he wasn't interested at the time. But that if it did change in the future, he would contact the department. So at this time, no.
Okay. And he's attending weekly therapy.
Yes,
You believe that's appropriate?
yes,
Right. Is it appropriately addressing his therapeutic needs? Let me rephrase that.
yes, it is. He's doing well in therapy.
Okay. And he's taking 2 psychotropics. Oh, no, 1. And that is up to date.
Yes.
How are his behaviors?
Good. He is really enjoying it. He's really gotten along with the other boys in the home, and he's formed a relationship with the house parents. So he's doing really well there. He's participating in outings. He's doing well in school there, and he helps with chores, and he seems to really enjoy it. He has expressed that he would like to potentially go into their SIL program since he's gotten a chance to see it on campus. So if adoption is not an option, he does not want to age out. So he is interested in possibly going that route.
Do you believe he has all the information he needs for still?
He does, but it would be best once it gets closer to redo it or over. But yes, he's aware of it.
Understood. Are his educational needs being met?
Yes, he's currently going to jail. He's doing well. He's in honors classes, and he joined the Spanish club.
Wow.
We did
Was
send
glad to hear that.
referral- I apologize. A referral was sent in for a new psychological. So it has been sent. The case manager is pending a date.
Any known barriers to achieving the permanency goal of unrelated adoption?
No, he has expressed some resistance to it. He's been honest, but he did say he's open to it. So we are still doing recruitment efforts for him. He's currently on TARE. We're about to put him on the Tuesday Treasure. And the TAP portal has gone live for Belong. So we're looking forward to getting him on the TAP portal as well.
Have you requested the identified file in a Heshig?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. McCaskey, any questions?
No questions, Judge.
Ms. Luna, any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. It's my understanding that he's actually failing his biology class. Were you aware of that?
No, I was not.
I think we got an email from Ms. Coffey a week or 2 ago, and apparently there's some tutoring available at the cottage at the facility, but he gets home from school at like 4:30, and the tutoring has already started, and so maybe there's not enough time for him to really get all the tutoring he needs for pre-AP biology.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'm kind of concerned that that's such a hefty kind of class, pre-AP biology. If he's already behind and failing, that I don't know if he can catch up or not, or it might be better to go to a regular biology class, perhaps. I don't know.
Okay, we'll get with the case manager and see what that schedule looks like and see what options are available, and then try to get him into the best, if he wants to stay and how we can accommodate him in that, or if it's in his best interest to get into the non-AP, then maybe if that's where he's going to be more successful. We'll look at that.
Thanks a lot for looking into that.
No problem. Thank you.
What are your thoughts, Ms. Luna?
Well, he says he would like to go to another foster family. I'm not sure if that's very realistic at this point or not. He says it's okay at the placement where he is, but he'd really like to be in a family environment if possible. I personally feel that it's probably difficult to get another foster care family for him. But he says he has lots of friends at school, and he's certainly doing better than a lot of kids that are in CPS custody.
What about you, Mr. Mullally? What do you think?
Yeah, just as far as grades go, I just saw him on Saturday, and he said his grades are back up now, and he's not failing. So
Good.
I think that was some good news. I asked him if there was anything he wanted the judge to know, and he just said he'd really like a family. So he knows it's a long shot. He knows it's probably a little bit difficult, but he's very hopeful to find another foster to adopt family. So that's kind of where his hopes are right now for sure.
Your Honor, if I could add for CASA, we would like for Axel's birth certificate and social security card to be located and given to him if he wants it. If he does not want it, then we'd like it to be securely stored for him. We would also like for him to be taken to get a Texas state identification as soon as possible. We are also wanting Belong to look into driver's education courses for him. It is, that's something that he had expressed some interest in, and I think it's important that we try to sort that out for him. Thank you.
He would definitely like to learn how to drive and asked if I'd let him drive my truck. I paused and said very carefully in the parking lot, perhaps.
He had mentioned that to Kim, and we are looking into it. I think the issue at the moment was they were trying to figure out the driving time. Because Boysville didn't know if they had the staff that would be able to accommodate that, but they were going to look into if the school provided that program for driver's ed, because sometimes they can get their hours while they're in that school program. So Kim was going to look into that for him.
Okay, well, that sounds good.
Your Honor, if I may add also, I understand that a foster to adopt home is being searched for, but I wonder if we could search for a foster home. I mean, he is a really well-behaved 16-year-old kid that really wants to be in a family setting. And so I don't know that we have to focus so much on the adoption piece and maybe just explore foster home options.
I think that's probably good. It's less limiting.
Just to echo that, Your Honor, I asked him specifically if that would be something he'd be interested in, if there was a permanent foster home that wasn't interested, perhaps, or wasn't able to pursue a long-term adoption. And he said he hadn't given that any thought, but yes, he'd be open to it. He hadn't been asked that before, but yes, he would be open to that for sure.
Well, the last time I met with Damien was last summer, when we were all meeting with him and trying to figure out what was going to happen and where things were going to go. And I was just looking back through the notes just since I've been on this case, and it's a lot of wavering on the adoption issue, including a real big one. So I'm happy to know that he's still doing well there in Bexar County, the group home. I think it would be probably better to look at the whole spectrum, and if it is a foster, it's not an adoption, it's a foster home, and he's willing to do that, great. I've just seen so much waiver on his part coming from multiple different sources, including him, that I kind of agree with Miss Luna a little bit. I'm a little concerned about putting all of our efforts into that one basket. I'm not saying it can't happen, but he's already 16, and I don't know, it's just, that's an iffy one. So for the purposes of the permanency review after final order, the court finds that permanency goal of unrelated adoption is appropriate in his best interest. Court finds that his placement is safe, appropriate, meeting his needs, and his best interest to continue. I will find that the concurrent goal of APLA is appropriate as well, especially if he's thinking about going into the SIL. Court finds that he is in the least restricted placement available. He's had the opportunity to express his wants and desires as to placement, and the only potential new family member that has been identified or come forward since the last hearing was not able to continue the process. Court finds that he is up to date on his medical, dental, vision, and that his psychotropic review is up to date. Court finds that his educational needs are being met. And I do want to order Belong to check into that math class to see what's going on there. If it's a honors class, I don't know, maybe if it's got multiple honors classes, that might be a heavy load.
The biology class?
Biology, I'm sorry, not math. Court finds there's a psychological pending at this time, or referral pending. There's no known barriers to the permanency goal other than Axel's resistance, potentially. Court finds that Belong has made reasonable efforts towards permanency goal. Axel's on tear, and they're working to put him on 2 other sites, a Tuesday Treasure and the TAP portal that's upcoming. Court also finds that Belong has made reasonable efforts by requesting the redacted file in the Heship. I will order Belong to figure out where the birth certificate, social security card are located, see if he wants them in his possession. If not, put them somewhere safe, his use when he needs them, such as his driver's license, state ID. I will order along as well to pursue a state ID for Axel and to look into what is available as far as driver's ed. Sounds like there might be some stuff there. And then let's be looking at foster homes and foster adopt homes, not just the adoption, but let's look at the whole spectrum. Next hearing is going to be a permanency review after final order, August the 9th, 2023 at 9:30. Well, thank you all for your service, your time and your service. If nothing further, all parties are excused. All right, we're here today for a compliance hearing. The dismissal date in this case is March the 6th. Mr. McKeska, how does the department wish to proceed?
Judge, we'd like to proceed with the compliance hearing. The department also filed a motion to extend this matter.
Ms. Winky, I understand that, as Mr. McKeska said, there's a motion to extend. And you filed a report for status of participation. And it says Ms. Hines has not been in compliance with the motion to participate, and gives a list of several things that she was supposed to do and has not done. And then Mr. Hatley is not compliant as well. You believe that it's in the best interest of the children to extend this case?
Yes, I do.
If they haven't been compliant up to this point, tell me why you think extending it is going to make a difference.
Well, there's been a new intake that came in on February 7th. I'm kind of actually a little bit stumped with this case. I don't know what services that we can offer that we have not already offered that can ensure safety with these children and make sure that they are safe. I feel like we're offering services in a vacuum. And services alone don't guarantee child safety. There has to be some kind of a behavioral change on the part of the parents. And I'm not able to be present in the home 24/7 to ensure that a safety plan is being followed. So I'm kind of in a quandary right now, Judge.
Well, and I also want to make sure the parties understand, I had ordered an in-chambers conference at the first time that I appeared for the in-chambers conference. Apparently the placement wasn't notified, so I wasn't able to meet with them then. And then when we rescheduled it, unfortunately, I had a conflict. So I have not been able to meet with the children. I understand they're 4 and 8, but I have not been able to talk to them as I had hoped. Mr. McKeska, is there anything you want to add as far as the department's request for an extension?
Judge, I mean, at this point, I think that continued court oversight from offering the services would be beneficial. This is also a less intrusive method of offering services and ensuring compliance rather than seeking a removal of the children. And so, you know, our goal is always to maintain children in the home if at all possible. If parents would begin complying with services and following safety plans, we'd be able to do that. And so that was the department's hope, is that we would be able to continue down this road and ensure compliance. However, the department's also aware of other legal options available to it if those become necessary.
Do you have any questions for Ms. Winky, Mr. McKeska?
So, Ms. Winky, what are the department's current concerns with regard to this household?
Well, I think that my main concern is that on February 7th, the department received a new intake.
That object to hearsay, any hearsay, unless she was there or she's observed something. If there's an investigation elsewhere, then the department has steps they can take in that regard.
I'll let her testify as to what she knows as far as an intake goes. Just let's not get into the specific details unless you have personal knowledge of it, Ms. Winky.
Okay. So the intake stated that the safety plan was being broken. There are guns in the home. There's drug and alcohol use in the home. There was an incident where Letha was attempting to—
Judge, I'm going to re-urge my objection to hearsay.
Judge, the intake is not offered for the truth of the matter asserted. It is an intake that spurs additional action from the department. So this is, again, it's not being offered into evidence as what is truthful. It's simply the information the department's received to, again, spur additional action and or investigation.
Overruled. You may continue, Ms. Winky.
So the intake stated that Letha was trying to get Josh to leave the home. He was refusing to leave the home. And she called friends to ask for help to get him out of the home. At that point, Josh was upset, angry, held a gun to the person that was holding their youngest daughter, Madeline. There were concerns about ongoing domestic violence and sobriety of Letha. From that investigation that started on February 7th, the children were forensically interviewed. On February 10th, I was able to review those forensic interviews. Benjamin was very guarded.
Judge, I'm objecting to hearsay unless Miss Winky was there at the time of the interviews. If she reviewed an interview from, I haven't seen it. I don't know what she's even talking about. I don't even know what she's about to say.
Well, and Judge, in response, she testified as to her observations of Benjamin, not anything that he specifically said in the interview.
Okay, well, if we can narrow it down to that, that's fine. But if she's talking about what she gleaned from reading the interview, then I'm objecting to hearsay.
All right, just testify as to what you observed, Ms. Winky.
Okay. I watched the interview. So can I testify to what I observed? Okay.
What you observed.
Okay. So when Benjamin was asked about his contact with Josh, he stated that he's seen him.
Okay, Ms. Winky, don't testify as to anything that was stated specifically in the interview.
Okay.
Okay, so
maybe I can slow this down or speed this up, whichever you prefer. You've got concerns based on the interviews that you observed, and
Yes.
you believe that continued court oversight is necessary.
Yes. So Benjamin corroborated concerns that he's had contact and that the safety plan is being broken. When Madeline was interviewed, she corroborated concerns that there's ongoing domestic violence that has occurred since the case has been open. She corroborated concerns that the safety plan is being broken with Josh living in the home.
okay, and Ms. Winky, what services was Ms. Hines ordered to participate in?
She was asked to participate in counseling, BIP intervention. She was asked to participate in drug and alcohol outpatient services.
Okay, so can you give the court an update as to her individual counseling?
Ms. Hines missed an appointment on February 10th. She has since rescheduled. When I spoke with Joni Chavez, she does have concerns regarding alcohol use by Ms. Hines.
Okay. Have you received any sort of progress notes from Ms. Chavez?
Not yet, because she just began services again. She started them at the very beginning of the case, fell off. Ms. Chavez said, we'll put this on the back burner because she's focusing on her outpatient services. She started them again after our last hearing, and she missed one appointment since then.
Okay, so do you think that ongoing counseling is needed in this case?
Absolutely.
Okay. With regard to the outpatient treatment, has Ms. Hines completed that treatment?
No.
Okay. Do you also have concerns for excessive drinking on behalf of Ms. Hines?
Yes.
Have you been able to address that issue with Ms. Hines?
I've attempted to.
Okay, and how has she responded to those attempts?
Ms. Hines informed me we have 2 positive alcohol tests. One just came in this morning. So she was positive on the 16th of February and on the 21st. When I addressed that with her, she stated that she's been sober the entire family-based case. I asked if she was on any kind of medications that could lead to a positive alcohol test. She denied that. And she just said that it must be a mistake, that the tests are wrong.
Has Ms. Hines completed her BIP program?
No.
Okay, has she enrolled or began the BIP program?
Yes.
Okay, how much longer does she need before she can complete said program?
Well, there are concerns because there was a hiccup last month where they were going to discharge her for missing sessions. I spoke with the provider. They agreed to allow her to come back after we had a discussion with Ms. Hines about the importance of attendance, focusing in, making that her priority. But when I spoke with the provider on Monday, I was informed that Ms. Hines logged in on Sunday for her session, but she was driving in the car. She was not able to focus on the class.
Hearsay, Judge. I'm objecting to hearsay.
It's a statement of a party opponent.
Well, if it's a statement of Ms. Hines, then it's not hearsay.
I'm not, my understanding of what she was saying was she spoke to the provider and the provider said she logged in and something. So.
Are you talking about what the provider told you, Ms. Swinky, or Ms. Hines?
The provider told me, but I also spoke to Ms. Hines about that. And she told me as well that she was kicked out of class because she was driving in her vehicle and had her kids with her and was at the laundromat or driving to the laundromat.
Okay. So Ms. Winky, how much longer or how many classes does Ms. Hines need to complete before she's able to successfully complete her vet program?
When I spoke with the provider, she didn't tell me. I think that she's offering a makeup session. So we just have to see how that goes.
Okay. And then as far as Mr. Hatley's concerned, has he engaged in any of the services he was ordered to complete, including drug treatment, counseling, and domestic violence?
Absolutely none. I think he attended one counseling session.
Okay. Pass the witness, Judge.
Ms. Paul.
Thank you. Ms. Winky, the testimony is that mom fell off with counseling. That's not necessarily true, is it?
Yes, that's true.
Strike that. Ms. Winky, is it not true that my client was seeing a counselor through the outpatient program and she was told by the department to hold off on counseling with Joni and then that would be picked up later, right?
She was seeing a substance abuse counselor at Hillcotta.
And Ms. Winky, you and I had conversations about this to where it was decided that she would pause her counseling with Joni, focus on her counselor at Hillcotta, and then go back with Joni or another counselor. Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. And so she didn't fall off. This was a decision
Prior
that was made.
Prior
right?
to that decision, prior to the
It's a
decision
yes
being,
or no question. It was a decision that was made.
yes.
And you may have just testified to this, and I apologize if I'm asking you to repeat yourself, and I apologize to the court. How much more does she have in her outpatient, or was she discharged?
When I spoke with Donnie at Hillcotta, he stated that they were extending the outpatient services due to missed classes.
Okay, and so I'll restate my question. How much longer does she have for the outpatient?
I am not sure.
Okay. And so it's not that she hasn't done anything. She has engaged to a point, correct?
She
Yes or
has
no?
attended, yes.
Okay. And she hasn't been discharged, yes or no?
No, she has not been discharged.
Okay. So you're requesting with the extension that these services continue, the same services, yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. I pass the witness.
Mr. Weatherby,
No questions, Your Honor.
Mrs. Graham.
Yes, Ms. Winky, what other options do you have if you if the services are not continued?
You know, I don't know what options we would have. I would have to staff with my supervisor, if the case was dismissed and services were not continued.
Mm-hmm. It bothers me that Mr. Hatley now has a gun. To your knowledge, can you tell me about the incident with the gun and with Maddie?
Judge, I'm going to object to hearsay unless Ms. Winky was there.
Sustain.
That you are aware that he had a gun?
Yes, I'm aware that there have been firearms in the home, yes.
Okay. And in your report, you mentioned that he suffered from hallucinations. What about that? What is?
Yes. I received the police report from his arrest that occurred on the 31st of January, and it stated that he was hallucinating, that he was mixing prescription pills with alcohol, and he thought people were trying to murder him.
Have you had any conversations at all with Mr. Hadley?
I've attempted to reach out to him numerous times. He answered the phone on one occasion, but when I identified myself, whoever was on the other end hung up.
You feel it's necessary that the department at least have some oversight right now. Is that correct?
Yes, I do not feel like the children are safe.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Lincoln.
Any other witnesses, Mr. McCaskill?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Swallow, any witnesses?
No, Judge.
Ms. Graham?
No, sir.
Anything you want to add, Ms. Graham?
Just that I am in agreement with the department that the case should be continued.
Ms. Hines, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. I think we've had a discussion similar to this one before, but you do understand that this type of case is, as Mr. McCaskill put it earlier, much less invasive on your life and the life of your children than if the department were to remove your children. You understand that, correct?
Yes, sir. I understand.
All right. Now, here's what I'm trying to help you do here is I'm trying to help you stay out of that situation. But there's only so much we can do before I'm going to look at this court-ordered services case as a waste of everybody's time, a waste of my time. And if I come to that conclusion, then the department only has one other option. I don't know if they're going to do it or not, but that's their other option is to remove your children, and you're going to be in a much more difficult situation. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, I don't know what is going on with Mr. Hatley. I don't think I've ever seen him. I don't think he's ever come to one hearing. And he's not in contact with his attorney, but he's not here for me to ask him those same questions and for him to tell me that he understands. And so you realize that the more contact you have with him in this situation where he's not following the court's orders, that affects you. You understand that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And based on what I've heard this morning, I'm going to give you another shot, Ms. Hines, and Mr. Hatley too, even though he's not here for me to explain it, but I'm not going to give you the full shot. I'm going to grant the extension. So the new dismissal date will be September 2nd, 2023. We'll have our next compliance hearing May the 10th, 2023 at 10:30. That's May 10th, 2023 at 10:30. But I'm setting a progress hearing for April the 5th, 2023 at 11 a.m. The purpose of that progress hearing is for me to hear whether or not anything has changed. So in a little over a month from now, we're all going to come back and Ms. Winky's going to tell me whether or not people are complying with my orders. That means you and Mr. Hatley. If you are not, then we're not going to go until September the 2nd, 2023. I have the authority and the power to dismiss this case whenever I want. And I will not waste another 9 months on this case or another year on this case. Do you understand that, Ms. Hines?
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, 6 months. I won't do it. So I want to make sure that I'm being abundantly clear that this is your chance to turn things around. Mr. McKeska, I'm going to find that neither parent are in compliance with the family plan of service, or sorry, the court order sources at this time. And it is in the best interest of the children to extend the case, provide them the opportunity to address the concerns that brought the children into the purview of the court. Anything I failed to address?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you all for your time and service. Mom, good.